Welcome to this review of the Skogsy Cholla Micarta pen. This is a really unique pen for a couple different reasons. First off, this is made by a small maker. Skogsy was started by Zach Skogsberg, and it is him and his wife that ended up creating their own unique pens starting in 2022. Now, they are hard to find online. You might be able to catch one here and there when it drops, but otherwise your best bet is to find them at a pen show, which they are frequenting different pen shows all around. Usually it looks like when I checked online, like 2 a month or so. So they're definitely, moving around the country. That's one of your best ways to get one of these. So they have two models. The Cholla is this one here, and then they also have one called the Agave. They work in a couple different materials. They do work in some very, very nice resins. And they also work in Micarta, which is this pen here. Micarta is a unique material. It hit the knife world for handles not too long ago, and it's been very popular ever since. These are a very resilient material, but they've got some still like warmth to it, and it still has a little bit of tactile feel to it that's it's hard to describe, but it comes from the material itself. It's called micarta, and what micarta is, it's a series of fabrics that are overlaid, like canvas is in this case. They work with a canvas micarta, so this is canvas, multiple layers of canvas overlaid with an epoxy resin that seals it all together, and then they can grind it and mill it into whatever they need to. So that's one of the cool things about this pen. It's a very unique material. It's nice, it's lovely, it's warm, like I said. It's got a nice tactile feel, so it's not slippery in the hand. The downfall of this, though, is it is a porous material. So over time, it might discolor from, use on your hands because, you're adding oils to it with your hands. It's almost like a patina, as you were on, brass or, copper that people like. This will patina over time. You can try and protect it by adding a thin layer of mineral oil, which Dave allowed me to do on this one. And that also helped the threads too, because you could see the threads were really chewed up. And then that mineral oil helped kind of smooth that out a little bit too. So it does have its pros and cons, but this is a unique material, this micarta. This one is actually a nib transplant. So these pens from Skogsy will usually come with either a 14 or a 16 millimeter grip, and they tend to come with a Yovo number 6 nib. So Dave, when he sent this out, he actually transplanted a zoom nib in this one. And this is a really cool, unique nib. So check this out. So the zoom nib changes its line width based on the angle of the pen. So what we see here is when we're like high up, we get a really thin line. And then when we go at a 45-degree angle, we get a thicker line. At a lower angle, even bolder. So the zoom nib changes its line variation based on the angle of your writing. It's very unnatural for me. This was designed originally by Sailor to emulate a paintbrush. And so that's what they were kind of going with a paintbrush. You get the tip, and then when you go down, you have like more of the bristles, and you get a wider flow. So that's what they were trying to emulate, was like a paintbrush feel with this nib. It is a really cool nib, and it's very comfortable. My natural writing angle is kind of closer to the bolder side, so this for me writes like a bold naturally. But someone else, if you wanted to, could be fine. Now, if you look at the how they did this in the nib, it's actually really cool. So let me zoom in so you can kind of see real quick. There we go. So you can see it's got a very unique tipping piece there where it's basically flat with a really broad surface area when it's at that low angle. But then as you go up, it gets more pointed, and that's when you get your fine. And because of this unique grind, if you look up here, that's actually a really nice fine. So this one, as a consequence, actually reverse writes very nicely. This one, as far as writing goes, there's no flex per se. It's harder for me to go ahead and use that line variation in writing because I'm not used to like angling my hand up like that. I've definitely focused myself more on the dynamics of a flex nib. This was a transplanted zoom nib. It's a very unique nib. It's very comfortable to write with for me because it's so wet. And so like I said, for my natural Very nice, very comfortable, and it actually flows well. It's actually usable as a reverse writing for more than just your signature. All right, so let's go back over here under the hood. We're going to keep going. These things come with, and there you can actually see the difference. I did not apply any mineral oil to these threads. So you can see the difference here with these threads that I did apply that mineral oil to, versus these ones still kind of look kind of gnarly, chewed up, because that is that fabric resin being chewed up in the milling process, basically. So anyway, so these things come with, this one has a Diplomat from Germany converter, so that's very cool because it's a nice big one. You can fill it with whatever ink you want. This thing definitely has no flow problems that I've seen. Very reliable, very unique. This is a cool pen. I appreciate the fact that they're from a smaller maker here. I like the ends, how they're kind of conical like that. The grip is distinguished. It's got a slow taper down to a gentle flare here. No problems indexing on the pen. I never slip up over onto the feed, so this works nicely. It's nice that they offer this in the two grip sizes, like I said, the 14 and the 16. The length is nice. It's I haven't tried it posted because I don't really post pens, but it is postable. It's nicely posted still. It's definitely longer. It's not chunky though, because it's this is still a light material. It's a little bit heavier than resin, but not by much. So this is still a light material, so when it's posted, you can post it, and it doesn't add much in weight or throw off the balance. The balance is right around the midway point there, so that's right where you want it. Nice. If you did add the post, it might change it to closer to 55%, but yep, that's still easily postable with no problems if you do post. When capped, let's go ahead and look at it. The body, in this color, it actually looks like a cigar, but the body has a nice, very smooth, gentle ascent and descent of the, almost like a slightly conical design, more so on the body, less on the cap, but the cap is a little bit thicker, but it's very nice where, you know, the seam there, you can see it's kind of chamfered a little bit, if I can call it that. The seam is nice. You can definitely feel it with your hands. This cap is bigger, but it's a nice seam. This pen is decently fidgetable. It's small enough, and this material is decent enough where you can actually fidget with this one a little bit too, so that's kind of nice. Up on the cap, we do see that kind of matching conical design, just like we saw at the bottom there. And because this is a stacked material, when you turn it on the cap, you can actually see all those different layers easy. That was, you know, stacked and then put in that epoxy resin. So, conclusions. This is a superb pen. I enjoy the fact that it's made by a smaller maker, so they're, you know, going to be more limited in runs and, you know, a little bit more rare in that regard. It's got a nice interchangeable nib. This one happens to have that zoom nib, which is its own thing, but it's very fun nonetheless. But back to the pen, I like that it comes with a converter. The weighting is nice. I like that they work in resins and this micarta material. I didn't really consider a micarta pen before, but after using one, I wouldn't mind adding one to my collection. You just treat it like a, you know, a handle with wood or something. Micarta is going to be more resilient than that, but I'm going to treat this just like my wood handles, take care of it. You know, one downfall might be because it's that porous material, you might actually get some ink staining on this if you were to somehow get ink on the pen. So I don't recommend nib fills for a micarta material because you don't want to get this part engulfed in ink. I would recommend taking out your converter and just doing converter fills with a micarta pen, but that's just me. But yeah, this is a superb pen. I had no issues with it. It's actually been my go-to for just kind of everyday journaling because it's a nice thick wet broad at my natural writing angle with the zoom nib. So no flow issues, even though it's got that plastic feed with that big bold line too. So yeah, like I said, I would have no qualms. I'm actually kind of curious. I want to try and go to a pen show and see if I can snag some of his other pens. I looked online and they had one in a resin that looked exactly like my guitar picks that I have. So thank you for watching this review of the Skogsy Cholla micarta pen. And this one had a zoom nib on it for the review. Thank you again to channel sponsor Hellcat. We hope everybody enjoys these reviews. I love giving time to a small modern maker. Anytime I can do that is, you know, great value to me because this is a hobby that relies on enthusiasts. So we're spreading the good word. All right, guys, take care. Thank you again for watching, and as always, may your journey lead to serenity.